it decided to call the delete appointment function. See how smart the agent is performing here. Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, we'll be building an AI agent from scratch, and that too in JavaScript. Because there are a lot of videos available in Python, so I thought like I should make one for JavaScript. So we'll be using TypeScript, just TypeScript, no frameworks, no agentic frameworks, nothing, just plain TypeScript. So once you finish this video, you will have a complete understanding of like how AI agent works, and it is not rocket science that's happening behind the scenes. And also you will understand like how easy to build one for yourself. So if you are still trying to understand the basic terms like LLMs, context window, chain of thought, there is a video that I've already made that explains all these terms. I'll give the link in the description so you can check that. So yeah, enough introductions, let's start coding. So I have a TypeScript project here and an agent.ts file. So first we have to install some dependencies. The first one is the OpenAI library, and then we have to import the OpenAI library. Okay, now since we will be building this in the form of a chatbot, we need to use another library called the readline library. So npm I readline. So this library actually helps us to read the prompts from the command line and also give the outputs back to the command line. So import readline from readline. Yeah, now let's initialize both of these libraries. Const client equals new OpenAI, and we have to initialize the OpenAI library with the API key. Okay, I just pasted my API key here. Now to initialize the readline library, so we'll use the readline dot create interface function. And so for both the input and output, we'll be using the standard output, that's the command line. So standard input for the input, and for output process dot standard out. Okay, now we have initialized both of these libraries. Let's create our main function, sync function main. We'll be calling the main function here. Okay, now we need to define another function that will send the prompts to ChatGPT using the chat completions API. So async send to LLM, sorry, async function send to LLM, the content that we need to send to the LLM. And for that, we'll be using the OpenAI client that we initialized. So client.chat.completions.create. Yeah, so we have to define a messages array so we can keep track of the entire conversation context and pass the entire array to LLM each time, instead of just providing with the new message, because LLM by its own don't have any memory or any ability to remember the previous messages in the current conversation context. So we will define a global array called the messages. So yeah, so the messages array is here, and whenever we get a message that we need to send to LLM, we will push it to the array first. So messages dot push, the role should be user, and the content should be pushed as well. Okay, now we need to pass the messages array to the chat completions API along with the model name. So we'll be using GPT-4o for this example. Okay, so whenever we get a response, we have to push it into the messages array as well. Not just the user prompts, but the LLM response also have to be pushed to the messages array. So again, messages dot push. We don't have to explicitly define this object here because the response is already in that format. So response dot choices. So what was that? Yeah, sorry, we have to use the await. Yeah, okay, so response dot choices of 0 dot message. Okay, so we are pushing back the response into the messages array and return the response from this function. So return response dot choices of 0 dot message dot content. So while returning, we just need the content part, not the roles or anything like that. So this function is ready. Now to read a prompt, to read a line from the command line, so we have to use the readline library. So const input string equals await new promise resolve readline dot question. So we'll prompt the user with this message, says something, and that's all. Okay. But we have to, keep asking the user for new messages, not just end the conversation with a single message. So for that, we'll create a while loop and put this inside the while loop. Okay. And we have the message, and so once we have the message, we will send the message to the LLM and get the response. So const response equals await send to LLM the input. Okay. And now let's print the message here, console.log response. Okay, now let's run this program and see what's happening. ts node src slash agent.ts. Say something. Hi, how are you? So I'm just a program, so I don't have feelings, but I'm here to. Okay, so we are getting the prompt response, and also it's asking us to enter the next prompt. Let's ask something like, can you schedule an appointment for tomorrow 10 a.m. See, the LLM is responding that I'm unable to schedule appointments directly. Because the LLM by itself don't have any abilities to execute tasks. It just have the ability to think and take decisions, just like a human brain. So the brain can think and take some decisions, but it cannot perform some tasks without some external tools like our hands or legs. So the similar is the case with LLMs as well. So let's do one thing. Let's give the LLM some tools or functions to schedule the appointment, to check the appointment availability, or to delete the appointment. So we will define all those functions in our program and also instruct the LLM to use those functions whenever required. So let's do something. Let's create a system prompt, const system prompt. So in the system prompt, we have to instruct the LLM that you are not just a chatbot. You actually have the ability to use functions, and these are the functions available, and these are the arguments that you need to pass into each of the functions. So we have to define everything clearly so that the LLM can make decisions, orchestrate those functions, and finally do the task. Okay, so I have a prompt already which I have made. I'll just paste it here and explain. So this is the system prompt. So you are an appointment scheduler AI agent. So you are always interacting with a system. The system means this particular program, the Node.js program. So you are not directly responding to the user, but you are talking to a system, and the system will decide if the reply should be sent to the user or it should be, it should execute some function call and return you the response of that function. So you have the ability to do function calls. Your response can either be a reply to the user or to the system to do a function call. And we are instructing the LLM to always respond in a JSON format, so the system can understand, right? So instead of just directly responding to the user in a plain text, you have to respond in a JSON format like this. And I will explain each of the fields. So to means, so the values could be system or user depending on whom you are replying. The message means if you want to reply to the user, just include the plain text message here. So the function call object is used if you want to instruct the system to do a function call. And also you should pass the function name and also the arguments. So as the next step in the system prompt, we have to, list all the functions available for the LLM to use. So available functions. So again, I have written a list of few available functions. I will just copy it here. Okay, so we have three functions. One is the check appointment availability function with one argument, which is the date time in ISO 8601 format and UTC time zone. So the second function is schedule the appointment, date, and the arguments are date, time, name, and email. So delete appointment function also has the same set of arguments, date, time, name, and email. So now the LLM is aware that these are the functions available for it to call as required. And also we will have some other generic instructions for the LLM. I'll just paste it here. Okay, so these are some general guidelines we are giving to the LLM, like chat with the user who wants to schedule an appointment with your owner, ask if they have any choice for the appointment time. You must be able to understand that the users might be from different time zones. So we are just giving some generic instructions to the LLM to act as an appointment scheduler, just like how we will, talk to a new personal assistant, a human personal assistant, because he may not be aware of all these things. So we have to give these instructions. And also one of the things that the LLM doesn't have is the awareness of the moment, this moment. It doesn't know the current date and time. So we have to explicitly tell the agent that this is the current time and date. So for that, we have to write a JavaScript function and pass it in the prompt. So get current time. I'll just write the function here. Yeah, so that's done. So now we have given the function. Now we have explained everything in the prompt. So the next thing that we need to do is we have to define the functions in the code, because here what we are doing is we are just instructing the LLM that these functions are available. So we have to write the functions here. So let's write the first function, check appointment availability. So function check appointment availability, date, time as the argument. Just return true, because we'll for this example we'll return we'll make all appointments slots available. And also for debugging and to understand what function is being called, we'll write it here. Calling check appointment availability function with this argument. Okay, just like this, we have to write the definitions for three other functions. So the next one is schedule appointment. So it has date, time, name, and email. Okay, so yeah, oops, date, time, name, and email. So I'm writing this console message so we can understand what steps are being taken by the agent to do the task. So delete appointment function, the same thing. All right, so now we have described all the functions. Also we need a function map, so I will explain why you need that. So let's create a variable called function map. It's an object. So what it does is it will have the function in a key pair. So the key is the string name of the function, and then we have the function as the value. So schedule appointment, we'll use the schedule appointment function, then delete, just copy that, delete appointment. All right, yeah, now we have made the function map as well. Okay, now what we have to do is, when the LLM sends you a response, you have to check if the response .to, which I explained here, is to the user or to the system. Because if it's to the user, you just have to print the message like console.log. But if it's for the system, then you must actually perform the function call in your code and feed the response from the function back to the LLM so that it can continue its work. But now let's try to do something. Just see how the LLM is responding now. Okay, can you schedule an appointment for tomorrow 10 a.m. Oops, sorry, it's happening because we haven't passed the system prompt to the LLM. Even though we have defined the system prompt, we haven't passed it to the LLM. So the first thing that we have to do here is So we have to pass the system prompt as the first thing to the messages array. So here, after defining the system prompt, we'll pass that to the messages array that we already defined. So messages dot push, the role should be system because this is a system prompt, and the content should be the system prompt. All right, now let's try this again. Can you schedule an appointment for tomorrow 10 a.m.? See, now you can see that the LLM is responding in the JSON format and not just the plain text format. So the first message is to the user. Sure, I can do that. May I know your time zone to ensure we set the appointment for the correct time? Okay, so we'll say IST time zone. Okay, so the next thing that the LLM did was to do a function system call to call this function called check appointment availability with this particular time zone. Okay, but the system is not able to understand this message. I mean, we haven't configured our Node.js program to execute this function. So let's go ahead and do that. So here is the response. So we'll write another function called async function process LLM response, and response should be our input object, which is a JSON, which is in JSON format. Yeah, so we'll parse the JSON format, JSON response. So parse the JSON equals JSON dot parse response. Yeah, and we'll check if parse response dot to equals user, then this message is for the user. So we just need to console.log this message field. So console.log parse JSON.message. Okay, so that means the first message to the user shouldn't appear like this. It should be printed directly to the console, this plain text message. So we'll go ahead and change this statement. So the response variable. So we'll parse the response and print it. So await parse LLM. Oops, we are not getting that. Process LLM response, sorry. Process LLM response. And we don't need this console.log statement here. Okay. Now let's see what's happening here. Can you schedule an appointment for tomorrow 10 a.m.? See, now you can see that we are not showing the JSON response as it is to the user, but we are processing the response and identifying that this message is to the user. So we are just printing the plain text message, nothing else. Yeah, now let's build the remaining of the process LLM response function. So else if the message is to the system. Okay, so the message is for the system, so that means the system should execute a function call as defined in the JSON spec. So we must check for the function call object and get the function name and arguments from that list. So here function name, we will be getting the function name from parse JSON dot function call dot function. Just cross check it once again. Function call dot function, yeah, and function call dot arguments. Okay, so function call dot function, we'll get the function name, args equals parse JSON dot function call dot arguments. Okay, now we have got the function name and the arguments to call. So how can we call the actual function? So we will use the function map that we have prepared to call this function dynamically. So const function response equals function map of find the function from the function map, call it with these args. So this is how you can call the function dynamically based on the function name in the JSON response. So once you get the function response, you must so the function response might be a response from the LLM, and in the response it might be a reply to the user, or it might be another system request to do some function call or something like that. So we have to process the response again. So process await process LLM response, await, send this response to the LLM, send to LLM function response. So the function response, if you look here, all our functions are returning a boolean value. So we cannot send the boolean value to the LLM. So instead of that, we will convert that into text. So if the function, so we will have prepend the response with something like this. Response is, so the function response, if it is true, then we will reply true. Otherwise we will just reply with false. So response is true or response is false. This response is fed into the LLM, and our script will wait for the response and process the response again. Let's see what will happen now. Can you schedule an appointment for tomorrow 10 a.m.? Okay, it's responding that I can help with that. Could you please let me know the time zone you are in so I can confirm the appointment? Okay, so my time zone is IST. So it's checking for the appointment availability function, the check appointment availability function with the time. And also you can notice that it converted the time from IST to UTC format. So the appointment is available tomorrow at 10 a.m. IST. Could you please provide the name? So it's asking for the name and email. So I'll provide my name and email. Okay. All right. So after that, it called the schedule appointment function with the time, the name, and email. So your appointment is successfully scheduled for tomorrow 10 a.m. IST. So that, yeah, that's working. So the agent here decided which function to call for checking the availability, and after checking the availability, it asked the user for the name and email, and after that it confirmed the appointment by calling the schedule appointment function. Really cool. Okay, now let's do something else. Can you reschedule the appointment to 11 a.m. Tomorrow? Okay, now let's see what's happening. Okay, now it's checking for the appointment availability for 11 a.m. tomorrow, and since the function returned true, it decided to call the delete appointment function. See how smart the agent is performing here, because we haven't instructed the agent to call these steps or go through these particular step by step when someone asks for a reschedule option. But here the agent decides that, okay, first we have to confirm that the availability is there for the new time, that is 11 a.m. Then after getting the confirmation from the function, it decided that, okay, we have to delete the existing appointment. So it's calling the delete appointment function for the previous time with the name and email, everything. Then it's calling the schedule appointment function for the new time with the same name and email. And also it confirmed, it says that your appointment has been confirmed, successfully rescheduled to 11 a.m. IST tomorrow. See how smart the agent is performing. So this is the potential of AI agents. So without you telling the agent what to do and you defining each steps, the agent can think and act based on the tools available to him, to the agent. That's the magic of AI agents. So yeah, now I hope you understood how an AI agent works, and you might have understood like why you don't need a framework to build a simple agent like this. But yeah, obviously if your agent, I mean, it's you're building some complex agents with a lot of tools and a lot of orchestrations, definitely using a framework like an agentic framework will help, because it's all about the abstractions, because currently you are defining everything, the prompts for the agent, the tasks, the functions, you're writing everything in a single file. But yeah, obviously if you use an agentic framework, things will be much more simpler, but that you just have to learn the functions and abstractions of the agentic frameworks. That's it. But the potential of an AI agent is like really unlimited. You can pretty much do everything. So you can build an appointment agent, you can even write a code review agent, or the possibilities are almost like limitless. So yeah, so that's all about building AI agents in JavaScript. So I hope you like this video. So if you found it useful, please consider sharing it with your friends, and consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more videos from my channel. So see you in another video. Bye bye.